Even by the standards of billion-dollar idea, Religare is a remarkable story. From a near-death experience 5 years ago to a billion-dollar valuation. And steering the ship, Rashmi Saluja. A lot has been written and is known about Rashmi, the businesswoman. But what do we know about Rashmi, the person?
Founded in 1984, Religare Enterprises Limited is a diversified financial services group. REL has seeded, nurtured, and built a spectrum of financial services businesses since its inception. The company serves under three broad financial verticals: lending, health insurance, and retail broking. REL subsidiaries provide services to micro and small enterprises, affordable housing financing, retail broking, and health insurance. The firm was ranked 431 in the Fortune India 500 and 423 in the Economic Times 500 for 2021. Religare maintains active membership in key industry bodies like the Confederation of Indian Industries and the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Now moving on to the leadership, the executive chairperson at Religare, Dr Rashmi Saluja, bravely took over a failing organization. Dr Saluja's tenacity and perseverance are demonstrated by the company's financial turnaround. Her leadership is characterized by purposeful resilience, which is guiding Religare towards a revolutionary path. Under her direction, Religare was given a defined mission. The company aims to become a full-service 360-degree supplier of financial services. Religare aims to improve the lives of the masses in India by leveraging technology breakthroughs in the financial services industry.
Our guest today very, very seldom gives these type of interviews, so all the more reason we're delighted to welcome her on the show. Rashmi Saluja, welcome to Billion Dollar Idea.
Thank you. Thanks, Jasper, for having me.
We're delighted to have you, ma'am. Now, everybody knows you're the chairperson of Religare, but I think fewer people would know that you're also the national president of the Curling Federation of India. So my question to you is you're 25, 30 years into your career. Is there a bit of you that would rather be a sportswoman than a businesswoman?
Actually, no. I'm very happy the way I am. And in fact, sports is far more challenging, far more disciplined. And I would rather contribute in making more sports persons for country, and actually through their achievement, that's what my achievement I feel happy about.
Okay, and I mean, I think we'll get into this in the show, but you're very much all about enablement. But let's cast our minds back a bit. So, daughter of a serviceman, peripatetic childhood, moving around the country, staying in hostels, all that stuff. Then you get into medicine and multiple things. Take us back on the journey to what you were thinking then and just help us to understand the trajectory.
You know, it has been a very interesting journey because, you know, moving around, going to different schools, staying in hostel has really enriched me as a person. And I have actually been a very, very curious and an observant person since childhood. And sportsman spirit is what I have lived up with, and that has really helped me differentiate and understand from good to bad as we have all been brought up. And also I have also realized the different cultures and taken the best out of it. So as a person that you see in, you know, the journey that now people are looking at me is actually the contribution of so many people, so many cultures culminating into what I am today.
Okay, so there's been a sort of compounding effect, but just to touch on this idea. So we still live in, and certainly when you were starting, Rashmi, a hyper-academic culture, right? Do you think you were unusual in the sense of recognizing both this idea of sport and what that brings in academia?
In fact, you know, when I was growing up, sports was never considered as a profession. It was more like a hobby. People would go and play with very minimalistic means, not a structured sport actually, not going to a basketball court and not going to a badminton court, just pick up rackets and start playing anywhere. And that is how the culture of cricket has also been, the gully cricket has also been coming up in India. And that is where you don't have really rich people coming onto the sports only, because they have actually learned sports difficult way easy way as a hobby, and then they have actually done it well. Similarly for me also, I have learned to become a sports person in my heart, as a sportsman spirit has come up. But actually, moving on to growing up in academics was still the priority, because we really think that is what you need to do. Sports cannot become a profession.
Yeah, it's not going to pay the way.
It's not going to be paying through, and you live with the peer pressure. You want to do good. You want to actually. So that time there weren't so many sports person coming out in India that you could say, oh, okay, that is what I really want to become. So that's the unfortunate part of my bringing, which is so much more different from children growing up now.
So you decided to be a doctor. Was that something you wanted, or was it something the family wanted?
Being honest, yes, it was people around me.
Yeah.
And
better be a doctor.
Absolutely,
or an engineer.
Absolutely. It used to be a defined profession. You could actually move around in society, and people would say, oh, that person is a doctor, is doing so well. That person is an engineer. That's a structured job, not into any other profession also. So actually it was, I didn't, you wanted to do good. You're a good human being, you want to serve people, but really did that medicine part come within? No, because I didn't have that medical background to actually understand what it really means all about. So it was definitely more, it was more an ambition for the family and people around.
Okay, and in that sense, you're a kind of you're a daughter of India at the time, right? But here's the $1 million, I should say, the billion dollar question. How on earth have you made the leap from medicine into being an entrepreneur?
The most difficult, when I was growing up and I had to write a medical exam, it was considered that the most difficult exam to write and to clear is medicine, followed by the UPSC. Because these are the two professions which people would really, really like to do. If they want to, they're brilliant immediately after your 12th grade, and if you're able to do medicine, you're considered the top in your academic classes. And then people who are more inspirational and more ambitious and who can actually sustain the graduation and then write in UPSC, that was still the next best.
Yeah.
So I consider that I was a fairly intelligent person who actually did medicine, and it actually, though it wasn't my first choice or it wasn't my only choice, so I was open to become anything that an opportunity would have come my way. Medicine came up, I liked it, I studied well, and it just happened. Having said that, the curiosity that has actually got me to become as the person that I am today, always wanted to become an entrepreneur.
For me, in Dr Rashmi Saluja, I see energy, I see a lot of positivity, a lot of constructive approach, and the ability to work with her team, to be completely open to anybody bringing any ideas to her, and also providing a very, very strong leadership.
So, Chapter 1, a bit about you, where you've come from. Chapter 2, the Religare story. Should we go and hear that story?
Happy to have it.
Let's do it. So Rashmi, your tenure at Religare has been quite well covered, but just take us back to the kind of pre-Religare phase between medicine and Religare. What happened? What was the journey?
So it was an interesting journey in the sense like I was into medicine and building up hospitals and things which I really thought was important to do for me. And I was also into a lot of other charitable activities that I really like to do, which I really think will be something which I would like to continue beyond just a structured professional job. So that's what I was actually into it. And of course, trying to study and get more curious, maybe taking a few degrees here and there, and that was all part of it. So in fact, that has been one of my very enriching journeys of life, which is actually like a stepping stone, or it has given me a very strong foundation to reach where I have reached.
So you're getting into entrepreneurship in the medical sector, you're enriching yourself academically with degrees, and you're getting into charitable work. When you were appointed to the board of Religare, was that sort of a bolt from the blue? Were you surprised?
Yeah, actually, Religare definitely happened by chance. And I got into the board, but so far so good. Getting to board as an independent director was not too much of a problem or too much of a situation. The only thing is that, as you had just asked me earlier, the risk part of it, because Religare at that time was really not doing good.
This is a low point, I think everyone would accept.
Low
right?
is an understatement. People had written off, writing it off was still all right, but it was into a lot of litigation, a lot of problems happening all around. And then getting onto a board like that, yes, that was definitely a risk.
And a kind of a brave thing to do. I mean, you're taking a risk there.
Yeah, that is pure, yes, absolutely risk. But the only thing is that it did happen. And happening, once you are into it, you need to do the best that you could do.
What's intriguing, I think, for the public on you is that the who isn't that understood. And because you kind of came from a place that the who's who might not know, right? You were judged in that capacity. And that says a lot, doesn't it, about kind of where India's at and where it's going. There's sort of people that still care about the who in a world that's increasingly about the what. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree with you, because there is always a particular format in which you are gauged, you are assessed, who you are, where you've come from, and do you belong to this club or not?
Yeah.
And then in the financial services, do you have a proven track record?
Yeah.
So the more important thing is not the outcome of the entire thing. More important is, every time you have to prove yourself. Every time you get the acceptability, you have to prove yourself. The good part of it is that if you are not letting your report card be signed by somebody else, and you're not really totally aware of that particular thing, my report card should be signed by the regulators, by public at large, and by people who really got their monies, even including the shareholders. When I joined in, it was 17 rupee was the share price. Then we went all the way up till 280, 290. And that itself was good. And when your employees, your colleagues, they want to stick to the organization, they're talking about it, it's a promoterless organization. When they want to take the responsibility of running the organization and making wealth for everybody.
Religare and both Rashmi have presented an opportunity which has helped me not only excel as a professional, but also provided me certain opportunities to excel as an entrepreneur. These two aspects put together have not only made me better than what I was earlier, but helped me do much more than what I thought I would do. And this has been a very, very satisfying journey so far.
Well, if the proof's in the pudding, $1 billion pudding is a lot of proof and a lot of value creation. In the next chapter, Rashmi, I'd like to talk about the underpinning of this, the people, what you think about people in modern India, the young, how they're going to flourish. Should we go do that?
Absolutely.
Right. Rashmi, your business career has spanned a pivotal time in India where we're moving a bit away from patriarchy, from inherited businesses into a more meritocratic environment. We have hundreds of millions of young here. What do you say to those young, and how do you inspire them for the next stage?
In fact, in India, the whole concept and culture of India has changed in the last 10 years. That's exactly where I feel that you don't need to be who's who to actually get to do something good, recognized and appreciated. And that's exactly what has happened now.
That's what you've done, right?
And that's exactly what I have done, is exactly what I would preach, and that's exactly what I feel. It's really nice to feel inspirational by people who have really done well, but they can all, from whichever walk of life, whatever, they have to have the intent, education, and actually to move forward. Does this country give in equal opportunity and more? Yes, that is the time today in India, because India is actually holding back to all their cultural values. They are really holding on to people, and they don't have to be extraordinary. They have to be normal people, and they have to really have that kind of a vision to move forward. And that's exactly how it has been trusted in India, and that culture has really evolved a lot.
And do you think, Rashmi, things are changing for the better? I mean, we're famously being led by the son of a tea seller, right? That must be in itself a huge inspiration.
Absolutely. In fact, that one particular think that Prime Minister has come from where and where he has reached. He has not only become an inspiration for India, he's become a global leader, global inspiration. The biggest pride that I have today is that I am Indian and I belong to this country, and my nationality is being celebrated globally. People are expecting me to contribute in a lot of ways, whether it is technology, whether it is medicine, or even we are going to become 5 trillion economy. We are the top 5 bracket of the country. It just happened, you know, because of the right intent. And it doesn't belong to anyone in particular. It belongs to all of us.
Yeah, and timing is everything in a sense. But just staying on people, what do you particularly say to the women of India, right? Because I don't know that India could demonstrate at the moment that it had fully kind of emancipated its female workforce, and yet there's such an opportunity there. What do you say? What do you think about that?
You know, it gets even more validated when Prime Minister gets a women's reservation bill, specially called for. And here the value of women is there now by choice and by education and by strength. There is no profession now left which is only dominated by a particular gender. It is there. It is how strongly you need to actually push yourself. But yes, you have to keep proving yourself. Every time you have to actually say that, okay, I'm here to stay, my intents are good, and I want to do that.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. And here, as we get into the kind of final stage of this conversation, what sort of defines your tenure? So you've done different things, right? And they've all accrued to the Rashmi of 2023, almost 2024 now. But when do you see an innings being, you've had several innings, when do you call time on an innings? On what basis?
When I'll not be able to contribute, when I'll not be able to participate in the growth of the organization, I should know that's a time that I should let go of.
So it's not share price, it's just this sort of primal sense of, am I giving back, am I enabling?
So there is no exit point of the growth actually. In fact, all of us come over and play our roles. And if I feel that I can protect the growth of the organization, I can contribute in the growth of the organization and actually make it very profitable for everybody the way we have really done. And our best time in this organization is yet to come because we have really fought it hard, we have done it. Now is the time to execute all the growth journey, the plans, the future of the organization to make it best for the shareholders, for other stakeholders, for the employees. End of the day, they really contributed in doing it well. So they should actually now take it up to the next level. So yes, it is time, but that should be totally relevant. You have to yourself make yourself relevant to the organization's growth.
I'm working here for more than 15 years now, and we really feel like a family at Religare, and we have always got a lot of support from the management, and we have got a vision to bring this company to about 100,000 crore rupees of market capitalization.
Okay, and you turning up in 2018 in Religare, then on the board, then becoming the leader. Destiny, do you think, or luck, or a bit of both?
It is, you know, a bit of everything, your ecosystem that time, your destiny, and also maybe, as you had asked, the risk-taking ability. It might have come to some, maybe some people would not have. A lot of people, by the way, I have to tell you, did not want to be part of the organization. They were waiting for the organization to get okay, to all right, to make it fine. They didn't want to put their name. And I understand totally, a lot of people had very illustrious careers and they didn't know what the outcome of the organization will be. Because I had that strength to do it, so that's how it is.
But before we get on to quick-fire questions, it's kind of a really interesting place to end, because if I imagine an axis of the people that they were looking for to come onto the board, right? On the kind of y-axis is the who, and the x-axis is the what's, right? The who's and the what's. And I imagine if you were high up on the who's, you might have looked at it and thought,
yeah.
But you're kind of, what I think we're getting to here is you perhaps were lower on the who's, right?
I was no who at all.
You were no who at all,
Absolutely.
okay? You're not with the car market crowd or whatever people like to call them. but kind of ethos, and as your father's daughter, you were long on the what. Mm-hmm. And while many of the who's just wouldn't have done it, the sort of world belongs to the what's in that sense. And now you're kind of moving up the who's. It's a different thing.
So in fact, I totally agree with you, and that's exactly as you had just mentioned. You know, from just a worker to become the leader of the organization, as Prime Minister has become. Similarly, people like me only give a vision to people that if they are ready to take the responsibilities, they can also become me or better.
Yeah.
So that is something which I really thought that I had nothing to lose. I was ready for the criticism. It only made me more responsible.
It's an exciting time, right?
Absolutely.
On this note, should we go and do some quickfire questions?
Let's do that.
Take it away, ma'am. Rashmi, what a super guest you've been. And shall we end with some quickfire questions?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Medicine or law?
Medicine, because it really saves people. It gives you an instinct in actually taking a call which is so instantaneous, and that quick reflexes, and medicine makes you really saving life and now the organization.
Okay, love or money?
A bit of both.
That's cheating. Okay, question number 3. Destiny or self-determination?
I feel definitely self-determination, but I'm a very strong believer of destiny.
Somewhat on the fence again. Okay, all right, here, stark choice. You have to choose one or the other.
Okay.
Kanchenjunga or Nanda Devi?
Kanchenjunga.
Okay, final quickfire question. Fame or anonymity?
Oh. Fame. I've done enough of anonymity.
You've done enough anonymity. That's a fantastic place to end. Rashmi Saluja, thank you for appearing on $1 Billion Idea. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Enjoy it.
That Rashmi Saluja has created exceptional shareholder value as a matter of record. But I think the biggest story is of Rashmi, the woman entrepreneur and outsider who breaks through the glass ceiling, and in doing so, inspires the next generation of Indian women entrepreneurs upon whom this nation depends. I'm Jasper Reid, and you've been watching $1 Billion Idea.